Hi, I'm Jessica Ardeal with the Professional Healers Institute, and thank you for tuning in to Crack the Code of Your Body's Intelligence, because today's featured health expert knows all about that. Please welcome Linda Penny, vibrational teacher, healer, and thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate you taking the time. Could you tell us a little bit about you professionally work in the field of kinesiology now. You're teaching students about learning to muscle test and communicate with the language of the body. How did you come across that? What was your introduction, and what about it made sense to you?
Well, I think actually the majority of people that are in the healing world were on a journey for themselves originally. I was, and I know many others that were. So I was looking for a solution to a health issue that I had for many, many, many years. And it took me on this wonderful journey where I started with crystal healing and tried that. I tried iridology. I tried acupuncture to resolve my issue, which I'll not go into now. But eventually I got to kinesiology, and kinesiology pinpointed it, cleared me, and got me healthy in probably a period of about 6 to 9 months. I was completely healthy, and I hadn't been for many years. And so I decided, this is amazing. I need to learn this. This is incredible. So I then studied it, and I studied with the ASK in the UK. It was like a 3-year course to do the foundation. And then I did the diploma course on top of that. So, and then at the same time, you do anatomy and physiology. I also did cranial work at the same time. So I did a lot of study at the same time because I was just absolutely blown away by this way of healing and the results that I got. So once I'd completed all my training, I already had a clientele, but my clientele grew because I was able to help people so much more just by the fact that I could muscle test. So muscle testing is just this much of kinesiology. Kinesiology is this much, and muscle testing is just a tool to take you to the innate intelligence of the body. So you're talking to the cells, because this is crap. Most of stuff in here is put in by schools and society and parents and doctors and all kinds of everything. So most of it is just like a computer, but the innate intelligence is the truth, and the cells are incredibly intelligent, and they know what's going on because the body spends its whole life trying to be well in homeostasis, to reach homeostasis. That's its job. So it's constantly getting better and staying well. So when we're giving it toxins or being unhappy or whatever it happens to be, or getting some kind of disease, then it has to fight that. That's why we also need help. But very often, I find with muscle testing is I can go to this, what I like about muscle testing is it takes me to the source of the problems. I want to know, I'm talking to the innate intelligence of the body. It's like, what started this? What caused this to happen? So I like to get to the causality, because if you get to the causality, and sometimes it's nothing to do with the physical body at all. Sometimes it's a state of mind or a trauma that's there from childhood. It's not, and with the muscle testing, you can check to see, is it electrical, is it emotional, is it chemistry, is it physical, and then you can also check with the muscle testing, what do they need to correct this? And it could be, again, could be something electrical, which is the acupuncture system. It could be emotional, which invariably 99.9% of the time, there's always an emotional component. Or it could be chemistry, in which case you can find out if there's a pathogen, or if there's a deficiency or an excess of something, or it's a food, or it's a chemical within a food. There's so many different things. If it's EMF, from all the cell phones and what have you. So that's basically, I'm sorry I'm going on a bit, but that's basically, what I'm doing. So I learned to do all that. And then after a few years, I said, I got to teach this now. In fact, the academy that I studied with said, would you mind becoming a tutor? And I said, no, I'd love to. And I was really nervous because I'd never taught it before, but it's just I'm so enthusiastic, even, 30 years later, I'm so enthusiastic about it that it was a joy. And I've taught, hundreds of people. And now I do little classes on a Saturday morning just to show people how to muscle test on the very, very basics of muscle testing. So they can check to see, which supplement they should be taking, which is going to benefit them, and not just vitamin C. I mean, they don't know which brand to take or which dosage. I can teach them that. They can check to see if a food is suitable for them or not. So yeah, that's it.
I love your enthusiasm.
I know, it's been around for so long. I've been this enthusiastic for over 30 years now with this subject matter.
And are you finding in your travels and courses with teaching that it's becoming more mainstream and accepted, or do you still bump up against any skepticism?
I don't think it's necessarily becoming more mainstream, but people are becoming more interested. It's more interested. It's still poo-pooed by some, medical, but I don't do medical, so I don't really care what's going on there. Yeah, I mean, I found it very difficult to find students who would be prepared to study as much as they need to. That's my biggest issue here, is I've found lots of people who want to do it, but they want it in a weekend. And this is not a weekend. I mean, they think it's just easy. You just go like this, and it's like, no. That's not what kinesiology is about. You have to know a huge amount of what's going on in the body, and you have to know you have to know what questions you can ask and what questions are, and the wording that you use to ask a question, because you're talking to an intelligent part of you. So, it's a very subtle thing, but it's very powerful. So I do teach these little classes to help people who've got other modalities in the healing world, and it will benefit them to know, how do you know if your client needs? I mean, if you go to a nutritionist, they say, oh, you need vitamin B. Well, how do you know how much vitamin B you need? Which vitamin B? You don't know. But you can muscle test to find out exactly. It's like you need it 3 times a week, and it has to be in the morning with breakfast, and it has to be with food, and it has, you know what I mean? You get specifics, which is important. And also, like I said, with the causality, you find out that the reason you've got these issues is nothing to, I mean, the first thing you learn in kinesiology is where it is, it isn't. That's the main thing. So when you come with symptoms, they're just symptoms. They've got nothing to do. So you can turn up with a rash all over your body, and I might find out it's a kidney issue. If the kidney isn't filtering properly, then the toxins are going into the blood, and it will show up on the skin. But rather than just putting some cream on your rash, you need to find out why you got the rash in the first place. You know what I mean?
I do, and growing up with this and understanding that the vital organs and the importance that they play and the expressions our bodies show us, it's given me that passion to ignite people to start to connect with our kidneys and our liver and really start to engage them in a conscious way. So when I'm hearing you speak, I get this really great energy that it seems like it's going to be up to us individually to start to get more curious about our bodies and how they work.
Absolutely. I think everybody should. I mean, I don't know. Most clients I get haven't got any idea where their gallbladder is or their spleen, So it's just getting to know your body, getting to know this is just your vehicle. This is just your vehicle. Consciousness is running the show. This is the avatar that you chose. And the way that its function is because of how you've taken care of it. Okay? So it's a case of keeping your vibration up and being aware and being conscious of what you put in it. And what you think is even more important, because the way I work is that thoughts create hormones, hormones create chemistry, and chemistry creates the physical body. So what you think is incredibly important first, because even if you don't speak it out loud, it's still in your mind. So every thought you have goes into every single cell. So when you get up in the morning and you say, oh, I feel like shit today, the message goes down, we don't feel great today, we feel like shit. And they pass that down to all the cells, and you get up and you feel like this. But if you get up in the morning, I'm so grateful for another day, I feel amazing, I'm so lucky to be alive. And the cells go, wow, we're feeling amazing. And everything starts bursting out with joy, because you're talking all the time to your body. So if you're a negative person, you're going to have probably, not always, but it's probably more issues than somebody that's positive.
And that speaks to individualizing everything for everyone. It really is so, like you said, specific that somebody's going to need something else than their sister or brother or person in the same
Absolutely.
family.
Because everybody's biochemically individual. There's no 2 people on the planet, even twins. Everybody's biochemically individual. And because of epigenetics, there's a lot to do with what's going on in their life and what environment they've been around. If they come out of a family that argues all the time, there's a whole different chemistry going on than somebody who's come from a very peaceful family, so there's all kinds of different things epigenetic wise that change our chemistry.
Thank you for everything you do, Linda, to lead us into this new generation of health consciousness. The future of healthcare is now. And I'm wondering, what's the number one thing you would want people to take away from the introduction to muscle testing, what's the number one thing you want them to know?
I think the most important thing is to understand that you are to be in touch with who you are and to actually communicate with yourself and not give your power away to a doctor. Or it applies in life. Just because they say doctor or lawyer or accountant or whatever doesn't mean they know everything. You know everything. And I think meditation and yoga have become huge now in the West. And that helps people to go inwards and connect with who they really are and connect with their spirit and connect with the innate intelligence of themselves. So I think the most important thing that comes out of when I do these little classes is that, people feel more connected to who they are and actually more powerful. You need to be empowered to understand you can take care of yourself. You don't have to run to a doctor every 5 minutes. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of courses to take. There's huge amounts of knowledge that you can have to understand how to take care of yourself. I mean, for example, I got bitten, unfortunately, recently by a spider. It happens that, so I've had 2 since I've lived out here. And, it's along the beach and walking along the beach or whatever, and then some spider bit me. And my whole ankle swelled up. Now, in another universe, somebody would probably go to the doctor or the hospital and say, oh my God, look, my foot's this big and I've all swollen up. And they'd be given tetanus shots and this shot and that shot and this shot and cream and lotion and potion. I went home, grated up a potato, put it between 2 pieces of kitchen towel and put it on my foot, and it started to draw all the poison out. So I just did that for the whole evening and again the next day, and it's gone.
I love that it speaks to getting back.
But there's many ways, to take care of yourself if you're interested enough to know about it. A lot of people aren't interested. They'd rather go to somebody, which is fine. But if you are interested, there's huge amounts of information.
Are there any stories that come to mind of working with a client? Because there is a certain amount of not knowing that you as the facilitator or practitioner have to approach the client with. Is there anything that kind of really blew you out of the water with what you came up with without knowing?
Oh God, that happens all the time. Because I never know what's going to happen. I had an old chap the other day, actually, really nice old chap, and he had really bad shaking like this in his hands. And I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to help him or not, because I never know. I'm the facilitator for the information. So I just do my best. I do my thing, and I did some work on him, and I said, he left, and I was hoping that he'd be all right. Anyway, the next day I got a call saying that there was a marked. He said, Linda, there's a marked improvement on my left hand. It's not shaking, and he was over the moon. And I don't know what I did, but whatever I did was correct for him. It may not have worked for anybody else, but those kind of things happen all the time. I never know how anyone's going to react, but I get huge amounts of thank you letters and huge amounts of, I just had an email this morning from a girl that came yesterday saying, I feel amazing today. Thank you so much. I don't know what I did. But, just getting people back into balance and harmony helps them to get on with their lives. And I spend a lot of time talking to people because I don't think anyone listens to them if you go to a doctor. They don't have that ability or time or whatever. For me, half an hour is sometimes how much it takes for them to talk. They just want to get off their chest what's going on in their life. And so releasing that information and clearing it and having someone, seriously listening to them and then helping them through it. It's 50% of the healing is done right there, just through the conversation, which is why I do an awful lot of clients online all around the world, because I can talk to them and I can muscle test them. From Hong Kong, from China, from Australia, I can muscle test them because we're all connected. There's only one energy. So I do a lot of clients online and I can muscle test them. I use my sound online. And if I muscle test and I know they need sound, I can muscle test to see which frequency they need. And then I use that and I always say, can you hear it? And then they go, yeah. And if, for instance, if they've got a bad shoulder, I'll be doing all this sound and that the muscle testing tells me to use for them. And then they go, oh my God. My shoulder's better. It's like, oh, good. Well, that's what you wanted, right?
In that same way.
Talking to me, I'm pretty straightforward and, I just get on with it, really.
Linda, I love you. I love it. In that same way that people, like you said, get it off their chest, they get to be acknowledged. Our body's functions have that same experience when we turn to the body intelligence to lead us into that new awareness about ourselves. And so it's not magic, but it's a magical process if you're willing to explore it. How can people reach out to you and work with you, Linda?
Well, one of the things I do is energy exercises, which I also teach, which I learned from kinesiology. And they're very simple exercises by running energy through the body, whether it's to the brain or to the liver or the kidneys, wherever. So they're really simple exercises that I teach people, you know, when they call me, or we can talk through and give you some tools. I work, as I said, online, or I work in person, but I'm traveling quite a bit now. Yeah, I have an email, which is linda.penny@gmail.com. And I don't really like to use my phone. I do an awful lot of talking, and I give lectures on EMF and how dangerous, especially 5G. And I've been doing that for over 14 years now, telling people about the dangers of EMF. And I show them through muscle testing. I can get their bodies really balanced and tested, and it's really strong. And then they hold their phone next to them, and it goes completely weak. It wipes out their whole system, all the work I've just done. So I worked with 2 scientists, and they provided little shields that you put on your devices, and one that you wear on your body that protects you from EMF. So that's a very important part of my work, because there's no point in getting somebody healthy if they're going to walk around with a cell phone that's not protected.
It speaks to the stress that our body is under too. And there's so much that we settle on, but if we just instead focus on those subtle signals our body is sending us, you know, we could really start to create that coherent maybe environment between that internal and external world, and start to really be in an environment that supports our body intelligence instead of drains it.
Yeah. Well, I think the number one thing is probably, you know, if you get something wrong with you, don't automatically assume you have to go somewhere else to get it fixed. You know, just figure it out for yourself first. Like, okay, rather than freaking out, what's going on here? You know, why have I got a cold? Well, maybe I'm confused about something, or I'm exhausted or tired, and my immune system's low because I've been drinking too much, or eating the wrong foods, or, you know, traveling on a plane, or whatever it happens to be. But kind of thinking more about becoming more interested in healing yourself. I think that's the main thing. Understanding that this little machine that you had, this avatar that you're wearing, is an amazing amazing piece of kit. And it has incredible power, as do you. And realizing that we're huge, you know, we're huge people, you know, energetically. This is just a little tiny part of us, and that we have incredible power. And if we all got together on the same page, our power could do wonders.
And to flip the script too on, you know, what our body is doing to us, and rather approaching it from, you know, what am I participating in co-creating with how my body is functioning, right? And so tuning into all of that, lindapenny.com. I'm so glad I found you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you do want to share before we go?
I don't know. I work with him, Saint Germain. He's always in the room with me. No, not really. I think there's just that I would love, you know, if I can be of help to anybody, I'm available. So like I said, email is the best way to contact me, because I try not to do the texting. It's just too much on the phone. So email's a bit old-fashioned these days, but it works for me. Yeah, so that's the linda.penny@gmail. And my website is lindapenny.com, so you can see what I'm doing and teaching. But I do travel quite a lot now, so I'm often available in other parts. Like I said, I'll be in Wisconsin in April. So hopefully see you then.
Absolutely. I love it. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your interest, and thank you for tuning in today. And we'll say bye for now. Until next time, keep embracing.
Okay, thank you. Bye.